Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to the second episode of Distribution 2.0. Yes, this is the second day. We had already an amazing session yesterday with great speakers, great topics. How are you, Mark? Good afternoon.
Fine, thank you. Good afternoon. Really looking after this second day talking about planning phase.
Yes, and actually, let me tell you, Mark, it looks like you are in a sauna room.
It looks like it could be a box, it could be a sauna, but I'm just at the office. So
So
unfortunately for me, I'm not at the under the
you can
sauna.
keep yourself in a good shape and at the same time having great conversation. I hope you are not going to suffer too much. Right, so before we start, let me share quickly my screen so I can explain just quickly what was the plan here. So yeah, that's this event is organized by HyperGuest. The idea was to put together um, different partners, different travel demand from the industry, and try to those 3 days, 3, 4, and 5th of May, storytell a little bit of the traveler journey, and then during this plan with Mark, we discussed how to structure those events and how to make sure that we are able to share the right information in the right format. And so we convened that dividing those 3 days and storytelling the traveler journey was the right solution to divide those information by starting on the dreaming phase, which was yesterday, today planning, and tomorrow booking. And in each of those days having different conversation and speakers. So let's look at the agenda yesterday. So again, we discussed yesterday really at the beginning of the traveler journey, what they're dreaming, where they taking inspiration. So what was the right way to approach those kind of this type of new, let's say, travelers. As behavior of travelers has changed a lot, especially after pandemic. And we had a great interesting insight from the guests yesterday. So this is going to be the agenda today. So the first panel is 360 travel services versus standalone products. Then we will discuss a seamless travel experience. And the end, which will be a very hard topic, extreme booking, cancellations, volatility could be there to stay. How should the travel sector respond? And is cancellation insurance the answer? So a lot of, how to say, interesting conversation will going on today. That is going to be the plan for tomorrow, the last day. So actually, when we enter in the revenue, let's say profit aspect of this plan, and we will discuss about how is pricing and content quality impacting on conversion ratio, bed banks versus direct contracting, marketplace model, payments, how the travel industry is handling one of the online customer merchant concern. So that is going to be the plan for tomorrow. Of course, we want to thank everyone taking part of this amazing journey with us. A lot of company I can see on the screen, and in particular, my thanks goes to Mark, my colleague, who put together this agenda. I contact and select all those speakers, and of course, our dearest partner, Roman Townsend, who is going to moderate the last panel today. Right, Mark. So at this point, before we introduce the first panel and the guest, can you just, making sure that the audience is aware about HyperGuest? I was thinking, why don't you have a really quick introduction of what is HyperGuest and why travel demand should use a platform like us?
Absolutely, I'd love to do that. So, and I think this is a really, the perfect fit for this, for today's topic, which is mainly, especially the first and second panel that are related to technology. HyperGuest would like to define ourselves as a tech company. And what we are offering is a connectivity solution for demand partners to be able to get closer to accommodation suppliers. Okay, so we've developed I would say API based technology that allows to aggregate different sources of availability from channel managers to PMSs and CRSs. And we are able to offer them to any type of demand generator, AK travel agencies, tour operators, DMCs, TMCs. Okay, so at the end of the day, we are bridging the gap between travel demand and suppliers. Okay, so that's a little bit what we're currently doing, and I think that it's a new approach to the way demand and supply players can interact.
So great opportunity, Mark. Definitely something to get to know more about it. I just spend 1 second also to highlight that from the hotel side, it's a free to use platform. Really, it's incredible. So anyone's watching right now is interested to get to know more about HyperGuest, either if you are a travel demand or an hotelier, just get in touch with me or Mark through LinkedIn or directly on our website, www.hyperguest.com, and we will be happy to assist. Cool. Right, Mark. So at this point, let's see the clip of the first panel and introduce the guest. 360 travel services versus standalone products. That is going to be the topic of this first panel. Welcome. Good afternoon, Andrew and Xavier. How are you guys?
We're great.
Good afternoon, Enzo, Mark.
Cool. So let's do this. Before we start and jump into the hot topic, make a quick introduction yourself. Xavier, maybe you can start.
Okay. Thank you then for having me here. I'm changing the way that I'm going to explain Globic to all of you, because after just hearing what Mark has said, I think that we are like the HyperGuest of tours and activities. What we do is more or less the same. The tours and activities vertical in the travel industry is super fragmented. It's millions of operators around the world, and it's mostly offline. So the number of products that you can book online, it's growing, but still lagging behind flights and hotels by a wide margin. So Globic is a connectivity platform. What it does is connect demand and supply, operators and travel distributors through our technology, through APIs, through integrating a lot of APIs. So we can consolidate all these products, we can consolidate all these connections, and then make it easier for the travel sellers just to embrace this kind of products. That's basically what we do.
Great, thank you, Xavier. I think the audience now start to understand more a little bit of our guests. So in this way, it's more, I have to say, it's easier to follow a proper conversation. Andrew, it's your turn.
Well, I'll try to be as clear as Xavier and Mark. Gemonix is a little combination of a lot of different solutions and features, all of which are travel tech solutions. But if I would try to better deconstruct what Gemonix does, is three main elements. One is connectivity, and as Javier mentioned, a lot of APIs. So we aggregate hundreds of different connectivity providers from bed banks, OTAs, GDSs, and so on. Second is data normalization. So effectively speaking, beyond connectivity, what we do is map the data, map the content, map the rooms and the rates to make it all comparable. And third layer is revenue management. So effectively speaking, managing all that aggregated, unified rate feeds into a profitable and high margin performing products. So that combination, I think we're often like to be compared, and it's easiest for us always to say we're a little different than Travelgate because we do more revenue management side, but we are less sophisticated than, let's say, Juniper, because we don't go into a full back office operating system and specialize only on hotel side.
Great. So it's going to be very interesting, Mark, this conversation. Right. So from traditional brochure package tours to low-cost hotel and dynamic packaging solution, does current technology support the business client needs? So let me drive this first question to you, Xavier. From your point of view, what do you think is the current state of travel technology? When I say travel, I mean, of course, the demand side.
Okay, from my point of view and the sector or the vertical we work, we are still getting everyone connected. So the distribution First, it has to be online. If it's not an online distribution, it makes everything much more difficult. There are you cannot believe the number of Excel files, emails, and ways of manually sending manifests and these kind of things, just exchanging between sellers and providers in the industry still. So this is important, because if you don't have this real-time distribution, if you cannot use these tools that allows you to make dynamic packages, but you need it in real time for the pricing, for the availability, for all the product information. If you don't have it, I would say, if you don't automate it, it's very difficult. So in our vertical, the state is, like I said before, maybe 10 years. 10 years difference with the hotels distribution, maybe 20 in terms of the flights distribution. So as an industry, we're getting there. There are also some initiatives to standardize those APIs, so the whole industry can get connected more easily. But still, it's a challenge. We think, at Globic, we think that what you do at destination, and I'm not saying that hotel is not important, of course, or all the flights, but what you do at destination is what defines your travel. When you come back from a travel experience, you explain to your friends, with your family, you explain what you have done, what you have experienced, what you have learned. So these products, what you do at destination, this is the most important, it's the best part of travel. And so, so in terms of how well developed it is, it's still a long way to go. That's why companies like us, but other ones, exist, and we are putting our effort into connecting the industry. Because if there is no connection, if there is no pipes, no plumbing, this will not work. Let me say also that there is another very important factor, which is the reservation technology that the operators use. In order not to use these emails or those Excels, you need that the operators embrace and use technology. They use systems like most hotels does with the PMSs and the CRSs. In the activities space, they need to use some technology with APIs that we can connect to. And I think it's only 40% of the operators in the world use reservation technology. Imagine 60% of all the operators still don't use any kind of REST tech or reservation technology. So we cannot connect to them. We cannot integrate them. And this is really something difficult for us. So I would say that the pace is picking up. So things are improving at a quick pace, but still a long way to go.
So you said that 60% of travel demand are not properly using technology, especially when it comes to the booking, in order to automate process and get more fast data exchange, right? But do you think that? Sorry, and turn this question also to you, Mark and Andrew. Do you think this is more like not necessarily? I mean, this is a very provocative question, but if so many companies are not using technology to have this, automation, efficiency, and so on, is there a particular reason? Is because maybe they provide only local travel, they only provide, business and a short, distance, and they actually are doing their business and growing their business like it is, or there is definitely a pace will change the trend in that perspective. What do you think, Mark?
I think it's a mix of both. What you said, I think it's really accurate when it comes to activities, and I'm pretty sure Xavier has more visibility on that. But to me, the activities landscape is much more fragmented. That probably is the most fragmented one in the industry. Okay, you have to think about a local touring company, sightseeing companies. I mean, there's plenty of them. Okay, and some of them, probably because of the size, they did not invest in technology, because even they did not, up until now, probably they didn't need it. Okay, there was not a need from their side, as they were mainly relying on, sending their rates and inventory via Excel, PDF, wherever, okay, to the distributors, and the distributors were making the bookings. Okay, and I think that this is the main reason why it's still really, really fragmented.
I think, if I might add to all of this, beyond fragmentation, I think, going to the topic and all it includes, right, the current state of adoption of travel technology, it's under-adopted, any of it. I mean, effectively speaking, there are a handful of companies that invest in technology. Expedia, great example, right? Booking, Google. Again, they're big, but they're getting bigger, and they're investing more and more as they succeed more and more. I think the biggest challenge, to be honest, mainly lies with the fact that most of the companies completely under budget what they need from a technological sense. I think this is, we're doing, all of us involved in, I know Mark for 15 years almost. So we're all involved in the travel tech space for almost 15, 16 years. And I think companies need to start thinking seriously about technological investments, whether it's through internal outsourcing, working with vendors, etc. But it requires hundreds and millions and dozens of millions, depending on the size of the company and complexity of it. The ones that do that succeed. The ones that don't, they don't. And I think this is where this turning point is going to happen in the upcoming years, or 1 or 2 or 3 years. The underinvested companies going to get left behind if they have underdeveloped technologies. They cannot consume all the direct connectivity. Their business models no longer supportive or competitive. And I think it all ties together. Technology is there. Mark has great technology in HyperGuest, Gmonics. All speakers that were going to be present today and tomorrow have great tech. But the demand, the 3,000 companies that control 90% of the distribution in our space, they need to know how to do and what to do with this technology. And I think we're all there wanting and willing to help, but sometimes it's so kind of, a lot of companies don't even have owners on the technology side to consume it. And, and I think this is a great initiative that we're having here in that discussion, specifically to bridge the gap between the business and technology as well, and help companies understand better what they can be doing by being exposed to different technologies and companies that they deliver.
Interesting.
There are
That was
also
just,
some.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Xavier.
Sorry, Enzo. No, I was saying that specifically for the productivity space, there are some. The situation is changing post-COVID because COVID enforced some timing for the entry, some features, some taking the data and track who is getting into your attraction or your tour, and this has enforced companies to embrace technology. And then there is another thing that. Or two things I would say. The first one is with all this cloud solution and this software as a service model, it's much more easy for them just to use technology, easier than before. They don't have to just buy the system and get all these kind of difficult trainings in very large and non-UX friendly tools. Right now, all these cloud and software as a service are helping a lot just for them to implement these kind of technologies. And the second one is the behavior shifting. So the traveler wants to book this product in advance. So it's not like before, maybe that they will show up in the ticketing booth and they will buy a ticket, but they are planning in advance. They want to know, they want to make sure about the availability. Of course, the blockbusters. If you go to Eiffel Tower in Paris, London Eye in London, of course they have technology and they have had technology for many years now. But when you look at all these small operators that they will need technology, like Andrew said. If they don't embrace technology, if they don't use technology, they will be out of the market because other ones will distribute better.
If they don't budget technology, I think this is one of the crucial elements here.
Yeah,
they need to buy it, effectively speaking. I mean, it doesn't come out of thin air. And I think this is where the two things usually conflict, right? Willingness to use new technology and new business models and actually having budgets to consume that technology and convert this into consumer bookings. That's the other side. I mean, even if I'll put somebody with a great product with 50% profitability or profit margin on it, we've gotten into the business with car rentals, 12 years ago, and we've been doing the car aggregations, and we've been doing $100 a booking on top season, and it's great marginal product. Today, you don't have any brokers left. You have car rentals and Cartroller. That's it. Nobody knows how to sell cars. And despite the last 2 years having huge demand in car rentals, nobody's done anything with this when I'm talking about top travel brands. So nobody really went at that and capitalized from consumer behavior. Those are opportunities. Some of them are tactical, some of them are long-term, and I completely agree. Creating a full journey of a customer when you have a captive consumer that converted through flight, through anything, and you're able to give them a full 360 experience through the planning, through the arrival, like in travel, post-travel. The combination of all those $10, $5, $4, $10 represent massive opportunity, but you just gotta need to build the right app and the right funnel to communicate with the customer, with the traveler. And that's where that whole big opportunity becomes really, really important. It's probably easier than even trying to upsell in website.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Very interesting.
And yeah. No, I was just I was going to add that sometimes when you see that you don't use this technology and you don't have the proper distribution, online distribution, you will be left out by the market. So if you don't have this kind of products, you all the companies like aggregate this content and offer this 360, like maybe you Gmonix does with all these APIs that you integrate. If you're not there, your product will not be sold. So it will be like compulsory. And that's why we're pushing this message every day to operators, to anyone that wants to sell the product, that they need to embrace these APIs. They need to get this connectivity ready so we can distribute their product.
You know what I see. I talk now as a traveler. Okay, I give you my experience. I'm sure that anyone else has the same, more or less, especially when it comes to tours. Well, I'm coming from technology, of course, and I tend to book and search in advance what to do, even 3 months before I'm joining the destination, and search, best things to do and how to book them. In effect, the trick here is when you search those information online, it's a little bit chaotic. Okay, it's I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but differently from the hotel, you have a very clear brand point of reference when you search some information, rates and availability, for example, Booking.com, Expedia. On top of that, when it comes to tools and activity, you have a great opportunity to search those information from different platforms. You also have a very great deal. But that normally when you check in at the destination, when you check in at the ticket, let's say box office, when you purchasing the ticket on site instead of booking this in advance, you make a long check and you pay 3 times more. I don't understand why still people are, using this approach. And just to, give a highlight to the comments from Jaume, however, this trend is changing with full packages. And this comes now for me for the next question. So have you seen a shift from standalone product to package tours, for example?
May I start?
Yeah.
Okay. This package tours, I would say that we're getting more and more interest from package tours or multi-day tours. It's not our specialty, honestly, because we focus on one part of the travel range of travel products. So it's not like our specialty. What we see is we were surprised sometimes when they say, no, don't worry, because we take your product and we package them with anything else. And honestly, my thinking was, okay, I think that more and more people want just choose the flights, the hotels, and all the services on their own. And it seems that this is not the case. In a lot of times, a lot of occasions, that they want to just buy the package. So this is definitely something that we are seeing. But from the Globic perspective, we are just providing the product to the ones that make the package. So, but I would say that yes, that definitely this package thing it's picking up. That's our experience.
What's your vision on that, Andrew?
So I think, when I gotten into the industry, it was tour operator business everywhere, right? You didn't really have FIT or, it's all tour operators, and then, they started selling standalone stuff over time, and then OTA evolved. But now I think this is where the market hasn't decided yet. Does it want to go back to 2015 or earlier era? Or do they want to go and build the next decade of consumer-facing technology or consumer-facing travel products? And this is kind of the shift between the static packaging versus dynamic packaging. We talked about this before on several occasions. Dynamic packaging is a patent from 1980. It's a 40-year-old invention that isn't being really utilized, to be honest. And that's where it's starting to be really, really confusing. Static rates versus dynamic packaging of shapes and forms, or dynamic tours, or a combination, etc. Because the biggest and the most important value of packaging is the opaqueness of the rates, right? That's where you combine, you don't hurt anybody's parity, you can bundle a lot of things, you have great marginality to play along, you have a lot of loss leader that you can utilize, but profit on additional upsales, etc. But that requires a little bit more complex combinations. When it's gonna be just packaged products, in some destinations, it might be a trend, in my view, for the next year or two, coming out and going back to the simplest way of operating. But I don't believe that the big boys that still set the trends and capture more and more of consumers will go there. So it might become a niche, but I think the mainstream is going to become dynamic. And that requires that combinations and those APIs and normalization you've mentioned about, etc., to be able to combine the right product with the right sub-product with the right category for the right consumer, i.e. personalization. So if I'll summarize, the future is in personalized dynamic packaging, as far as my opinion would go for the next 10 years, because that's a holy grail of everything.
Yeah, in effect, it's
depending on
sorry, go ahead, Javier.
No, sorry, Andrew. No, it also depends very much on the market. We have a good amount of experience working in China, and the Chinese consumer, it's all about packages. Not the classic 40 people group that moves along with the super standard package, but they have the technology, they have the way, they have the means just to do small groups, 9 people, 8 people, and they based on a basic standard package with options, then they tailor-made specifically to the group. So I would say that if they fit in a van, the minivan, if they fit in a minivan, and then they tweak the itinerary to suit their needs. So I guess also will depend on the market, but I guess also that the travel agents still exist for a reason, because they pick the best products and they make those packages. It's their role, I would say, because all the OTAs are basically technological companies that are connecting to APIs, and so they let the FITs, the traveler, choose what products they want to buy. But so yeah, it will be niche, but I think it will also.
I think Xavier has some connectivity issue. Xavier?
But I'll add, while we're waiting for him to zoom in, I think, when we're looking from the future of travel in this perspective, it's not going to be us, right? It's our kids and our kids' kids, if we're looking a little bit forward on this. And they're going to consume very differently than how we used to consume, even how we consume today. And, and that's going to be, I don't know, a completely personalized and digital and automated experience in this sense. If I'm looking globally, right, and I'm looking at the US market, still biggest market in this sense. Europe, slightly different. Asia and China, I'm less familiar with those markets, I'll be honest. I know they're complex and they have a lot of own challenges, but I also understand the performance and financial performance of some of the OTAs and brands that don't go into complicating, they're covering the mainstream. And I think, companies need to be able to deal with the mainstream first and then cover niche capabilities later, because eventually it's easier to find consumers and bigger audiences, at least now. And I think that it's still so underserved that there's a lot of room to grow for all the OTAs. Each market has, between 10 to 20 to 30 big OTAs and brands that operate locally. There is so much room for them to capture. And again, we're working in the hospitality mainly, or hotels, same as HyperGuest, right? So effectively speaking, for us, no disrespect to booking guys if they're on the call, but in every market, booking is taking more and more share from a lot of those guys. And we're looking how they need or how they can be able to recapture market shares. And that's only through innovation and technology and coverage and rate and better marginality and lower costs, etc. The tech is there, as we started from the previous question. Somebody just needs to know how to put 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 for them, because we don't know their businesses, right? We can come as Globic, as Gmonics, and offer them a lot of solutions, but they need to know the problem they want to solve. And right now we're discussing, there is a problem, it could have been better, but a lot of companies don't know what problem they would ideally solve, hence making it very difficult for them to consume technology in the first place.
Great point. Right, so what do you think, Mark, if we now give some, deeper understanding of Gmonics and Globic with a quick product pitch?
Yeah, I think it's the right timing. So let's hear from
Andrew
Xavier
or Xavier.
Whatever.
No, I don't want to break the chain. Javier used to go like first, so yeah.
Xavier, you go first.
Keep the honor.
You can share your screen.
Okay.
Let's look at
Nice
Globic,
one,
what
Andrew.
the value proposition is, and ensure that the audience
Great.
is getting more understanding on that.
Great. I'm sharing my screen now.
Yes, we see your slides. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, Globic is a platform. It's a B2B platform. It's all about connectivity. So what we do is we connect as much as we can all the big number of operators that exist in the vertical of tours, tickets, and attractions, and we connect them to anyone that may want to sell this kind of products. All right. So this is basically what we do. Is a connectivity platform. How we do that? We basically connect to 3 different entities. The first one is OTAs and aggregators. Here we have partners like Tickets.com, like Musement, like HotelBeds. So so we connect to them, and they bring us thousands of products that we can distribute directly to the channel distributors. The second one is channel managers. The channel manager industry is less well developed than in the case of the hotels. There are still 2 or 3 companies that act as a channel manager, and we are connected to them. This way we can get directly to the reservation systems of the operators, the reservation systems that we haven't had connected ourselves already. We like to say that we are like a channel manager of channel managers, if this exists. And the third one is we connect to reservation technologies.
Just a quick fact, Xavier, sorry to interrupt you. Are you changing the slide?
Yeah.
Or because we still see the first slide, just to...
Okay, you should see my second slide right now.
No, we see only the first one.
Okay.
Yep.
Has
Now,
it changed
yes.
right now?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I don't know why that happened. I will leave it this way. Sorry, again, quick recap. Like I was saying, we connect to 3 different types of companies. The first one is OTAs and aggregators. The second one is channel managers. So they allow us to connect to the reservation technology of the operators that we don't have direct connections. Like I said, we like to be perceived as a channel manager of channel managers. And the third one is the reservation technology of the operators. In this case, we connect directly to them, right? So those are some of the integrated partners that we have. People like tickets like Newsman, Hotelbeds, Living, Bocon, Fair Harbor. You can see a bunch of companies, and this is just a summary of the companies that we are connected to. So, what value can Globic bring to the industry? What we bring to the table, right? So basically, we bring two things. The first one is automation. If you have already your contracts with suppliers, and right now all the booking, all the pricing is about emails, Excel files, and confirmation calls, and these kind of things. With Globic, you can connect directly with them. So through the APIs, the API hub that we are, you can get the pricing, the product information, the availability, and the booking all in real time. So we implement, I can say that we implement the contract that you already have, and maybe you're working with it manually. We implement this contract into our platform. And the second one, of course, is access, product access. All this aggregated supply that we contract, all these thousands of products that we have from very good suppliers. I like to say that we work with the best suppliers that there are. So we put all these products at your disposal. So that's basically the two main takeaways about our value proposition. Some numbers. We have more than 45,000 products in our system. More than 1,300 destinations. Of course, it's not about the number of products, because a lot of companies like to say, we have 45, I have 60,000, I have 90,000. It's not that. It's having the best products in every category. We have from sports, shows, tours, activities, attractions. So it's having the best partners that can bring you the best products in the best destinations for every category. That's why we have chosen the partners that we work with to come up with what we think is a very good and attractive catalog. Okay, so that's basically what we do. You told me to be 5 minutes long, so I hope I stick to the time.
Sure, we are still in time. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Xavier. Sorry, now it's the turn of Andrew.
So, is it
show
time
the business? How we say? Show me the business.
Okay. Let me share my screen. I guess this should be this one. Okay.
Here we are.
So, I think one point, Javier, what we've learned as we've been selling this for a while and doing what we're doing, and a lot of APIs, we don't really have a UI. We build an interface to help us sell and deliver what we do, because visualizing connectivity and API and normalization is so difficult. We've created this kind of demo solution that helps companies and partners to better understand what Gmonix does and which areas does it cover. So effectively speaking, it's just a demo solution that collects different aspects that I've mentioned that we do on a connectivity, normalization, and revenue management side. One element is anything related to mapping. So we have been doing mapping and providing mapping solutions for almost 11 years, I think. So almost as Giada, or maybe slightly earlier. Those are developed, though, however, as customized, very personalized solutions to travel companies. So it's somewhat different from a proposition perspective, solves the same problem, normalizing of hotels and room information coming in across distributed supply and demand partners. Big point of all of that is really automating all of this processes, from content collection and normalization to property updates, information, etc. This is one layer. The second layer is the element of connectivity. So today we probably have, and 95% of our business is really about hotel connectivity. We probably have about 150, 160 different sources connected, different APIs. And I think one of the elements that we've been focusing a lot is to aggregate all the different rate types, not just bed banks or just OTAs or GDSs or hubs, switches, and PMSs, but actually allow our companies to consume all of them in a one normalized, standardized format. And that gives great flexibility to a company that wants to compare its public-facing pricing versus its net pricing, commissionable rates, and with models that HyperGuest is introducing, it giving companies even better amount of control and opportunities to to collect and compare rates coming in from their supply side. And this is the connectivity and normalization of the connectivity piece. The third layer is the revenue management piece. So if we go into how rates are coming through today, right, from different providers, they will have their different naming structures, etc. One layer that we do is collect them under normalized or unified room structure or rate structure, making all of those rates comparable. Now, once we put them into unified groups, what we're able to do is this magic thing that we like to call dynamic markup or dynamic yield management. So effectively speaking, in any unique rate combination, we are now able to define the profitability factor, the refundability, and all the different elements of that rate to establish the most competitive markup level for that specific rate on a specific channel. So B channels, it's going to be benchmarked versus other B2Bs. On B2C channels, it's going to be benchmarked versus consumer-facing or public rates or parity or bar rates, etc. So working with Gmonics on that side really allows companies to normalize all their data, connect with all their providers. I mean, imaginably, majority of them. We also source a lot of connectivity through Travelgate and Juniper, extending the network beyond our native integrations. And of course, the revenue management and yielding piece is incredibly important, because I think companies that have been working with us on this have shown pre-COVID. After COVID, things a little bit got skewed for everyone. But pre-COVID, they shown about 27% profit margins on hotel bookings. And this is possible because sometimes you sell at 40%, sometimes at 5%, but you're able to leverage every opportunity on every individual package or hotel room shown to a consumer or to another agent. So I think this is kind of our strongest value proposition, I would say, from a technological standpoint. And looping into a little future facing, what we started to work a lot. We talked about personalization and dynamic packaging as well. So we're starting to look into personalization domains and what we like to call attribute-based selling, kind of deconstructing the rate components into individual elements of it, from balcony to view to suites, etc., allowing to price differently or dynamically different rates that don't really have original attribute-based pricing. So you can upsell a suite instead of just giving this as a free option, as an OTA unrelated to the hotel year. So we like to invent some of those ideas and put them to test with our favorite OTAs and partners.
Great. Right. So, Mark, do you have anything to add, or you have some question to Xavier?
No, I think that this has been a really, really interesting conversation, because obviously both companies are operating on different, let's say, products, but I think that it's a good picture of the gap between the situation that probably Gmonics encountered like when they started, okay, which is actually what Globic right now is facing. So really, really kind of atomized and not standardized, not API, no automation at all, okay. And I think that what currently Gmonics is working, especially that part that has to do with attribute-based sale revenue management applied to not from the hotel point of view, but from the operator or tour operator point of view, it's the way that this part of the industry is going. And sooner or later, I'm pretty sure that also the tours and activity industry will go in that direction. It's just a matter of time and use of technology that they will be able to get there.
If it worked for EasyJet, it will work for everybody. I think this is what we need to embrace, right?
I agree. In fact, I was going to say that all this sophistication, the mapping that you can see, all these things that Gmonics does, the tourist activities were not still there. So we are just plumbing, putting the pipes that to make this work, and then it will come for sure. But all this sophistication, it's still a long shot. You can find some duplicate products. It's very difficult to understand when a product is duplicate or not. The differences may be subtle between I don't know, Eiffel Tower second floor or Eiffel Tower second floor with restaurant or with a skip the line. These kind of things. We as an industry are still figuring this out. First, connectivity, and then we'll start working on all these things.
No, I completely agree with you. I think this is my dream. I like to smoke. I still cannot book hotels that have suites. Or have balconies. Sorry, it's nobody has that option. Even Booking.com, I cannot just go somewhere and filter hotels that have balconies. And it's amazing. And this is where the gap is from a technological capabilities and utilization of that technology by companies. Whether it's, I'm not talking about just like what we do. In general, there are so many capabilities. They cost sometimes a lot, sometimes a little, really depends, but they're all factored in the business model. As the distribution is, right? Like everything is factored in from a pricing perspective. So finding the right model to the right audiences is possible. We just need to have a better open discussion and brainstorming, I guess, with the audience, because it's not such a huge industry. I mean, we are all closely connected. There is a few thousand of us that drive the majority of distribution, effectively speaking, and connecting the supply, the real supply, hoteliers and tour providers and activity providers to the end consumers. So there is the Google threat funnel, and then there is us. And I think having closer that communication and discussion on both sides can really find a lot of solutions, as well as lower the prices. Because when there is a bigger demand, you can actually lower the prices instead of raising.
Of course. I would say, to summarize and close and wrap, it's all about bureaucracy and commercial. Sometimes those integration aspects. So I've been in this industry for 20 years, and I can tell you that a lot of the challenge I faced in this particular aspect, it was all about commercial and bureaucracy. Anyway, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Xavier. Just a quick one. Xavier, how people can get in touch with you?
Oh, they can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. They can search for Glovic, or they can search my name, and I'm on LinkedIn every day, so I will just connect with them.
Right now we are on LinkedIn. Actually, we are streaming on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Andrew, how people can get in touch with you?
Well, hopefully majority or some of you I will see at ATM. This is exciting. I think it's
next week, right?
Yep. I think it's double the excitement because I've never been to Dubai. They opened up visas to Israelis, so it's going to be a cool trip, plus the first trade show. And I think a lot of our colleagues and friends are going to be there because everybody's been waiting for, hopefully a long-term solution to, what has haunted us for the last couple of years and never to return. Other than that, it's Andrew at gmonics.com or LinkedIn or gmonics.com.
Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. And I'll see you soon on another live streaming, maybe in the future. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you, Andrew. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Very interesting, Mark. So I see already Jose and Patrick are in the waiting room. Let me introduce quickly the clip and start the conversation with them. Good afternoon, Jose and Patrick. How are you guys? Welcome on board in Distribution 2.0. All good?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Yeah, actually looks like, Jose, you are in the radio studio, kind of. You want to compete
Yes, I am.
with me? You want to compete with my studio here?
I couldn't. But it is, in fact, or it used to be a radio studio. So we are lucky to be, without any sound. So yeah, cool.
The only safe here is Patrick, right? I'm in this kind of
Hello,
underground
everybody.
in the radio studio. Mark is in the sauna room. Looks like.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in the boring white background here.
Yeah, the normal atmosphere, right?
Yeah,
All
don't
right,
have the
so
fanciness you have.
let me do this, guys. I leave the words to you, Joseph first, and then Patrick. You can introduce yourself.
Well, I'm the managing director of Total Compositor. I've been here for just a little while, since the beginning of the year. I joined the project just because we have an amazing team and we're growing fast, and I think that we have no limits ahead of us. So yeah, I'm happy here to share this great time with you guys.
Thank you, Jose. Patrick, your turn.
Yeah, hello, everybody. I'm Patrick, CPO and co-founder of Nesasa. With Nesasa, we really want to enable and empower the travel brands to sell and automate multi-day activities and push their businesses. And so shall we go for the presentation, or is this just a quick?
Yeah, let's do this. So differently from the previous panel with you, we have structured differently the agenda. We will start first with the product pitch, and then we open the conversation. I suggest maybe, Jose, you can start first.
Okay, I'll try to do it. We are working in all technological companies, but sometimes this may be a little bit tricky. Let's try.
Yes, I see your screen. Yeah, go ahead.
So I didn't that bad. So Total Compositor, it's I'm happy to represent this company that started in just a few years ago, in 2014. Since it was it was more like a dream of an entrepreneur, Manuel Aragonés. After suffering for almost 3 decades, the guy didn't really have a good time with the technology. So he dreamed that of a better world where travel agencies and tour operators could be working in a better way. So that's basically why Travel Compositor existed. So just very briefly, TravelC is the only, or that's the way we want to be the only holistic travel sales platform with a specific model with every single travel company. We cover a wide range of booking engines for companies that work both in the B2C, B2B, or both at the same time. And we work under a formula of microsites where clients can fully customize with the logo and their brand's look and feel. So just a brief, because that's key. That's really key for us. Some principles, some values that we try to hold to and to assess. Well, innovation. That's I would say that innovation is our session, and it is reflected in not only a version uploaded on a daily basis, but also in every single thing that we do on a daily basis. Yeah, we work on a platform that always work perfectly. We have a great team, and we have to be. We are acting as shareholders in an honest, positive, humble, and proactive way with clients. Just a few things about our systems. We work in our aim is to maximize the digital distribution through the implementation of copies that are extremely competitive, so that the price is never an excuse not to grow your business. We save time, and we are proud to say that we save money and time and resources for our clients on an average of 90%. Yeah. So to reach that, we offer a wide range of booking engines, as I said before. Now this is not updated. We have more booking engines that goes from purely hotels and rent-a-car transfers to multi-destination routing, cruises and magic box and so on. In order to do that, there is no way. We had to be connected with many suppliers and obviously many more things. So basically, there are a number of things that we constantly work on to have the best updated and empowered systems. So many features and connections are included. There is an operational support. We are aware of how complex can be the daily work of a tour operator of a travel agency, and that's why we offer unlimited training and support on this. Some we offer even a consolidation service where because you may or may not have necessarily the contracts with the suppliers, so we help you to scale up your business with our consolidated product, even if we are mainly an technological company. Just a few things about our systems. We are extremely versatile. We'll talk about this before. As I told you, B2C, B2B, B2C, or B2, I mean, all kind of combinations, many languages, a number of currencies, different layouts, so the clients can choose an implementation options. The CMS, necessary CMS behind, so that you can customize your system. We've been able to digitalize something that has been an historical point on the travel industry, which is the digital brochures. We think about the users, not only about the clients. We try this to be to increase the engagement and the commitment of our users, and that's why we work on a gaming experience. Obviously, because we are able to offer a solution with many products, we have worked very with a lot of passion on a booking flow adapted to every single service and so on. Just a few more things. I don't want to bother you, but just to tell you that we try to basically implement every single piece of technology, even if it's not ours. Just to whatever is out there, we get it and absorb it and put it on inside in our system, so that our clients have no excuses but keep growing on their growth. We empower them, having control of their booking and costs. They can fully manage their system and all the community. Some of them are empowering thousands of travel agencies, and just a bit more about what I was saying. We empower every single piece of technology out there. Even if it's not ours, we try to absorb it, adopt it, and have the very best unique solution in the market. And just a couple of things. We have come up with a cruise booking engine, which is, I dare to say that this is a unique piece in the market. And we have a couple of options. We are in many countries. I don't want to bother you, but we offer to more than 20,000 operators, DMCs, hotels worldwide, in countries, doubling figures even within the pandemic time, which is great. And just a few names of the companies that are helping us to get better, and those that we are working and we have the passion for our clients. And that's it. I didn't want to get more.
Very interesting, Joseph. Very interesting. I think whoever book online at least had an experience of using your technology, I presume, the travelers, and right. So, how many bookings transaction overall you're monitoring through your platform?
At the moment, not many, just a few thousand a day. Now we are. The point is, I met a friend a couple of weeks ago, and something always under the reason. The guy told me, "Hey, we are growing. That we are doubling figures versus 2019." And I said, "Well, that's good. That's really nice. We are just increasing at 7%. But the point is, we are increasing at 7% on a weekly basis. So, now it's around 3.5 bookings a day and going up. So, but anyway, I think that the asset, the point of the really asset we have to be proud of is that we have extremely consolidated relationship with big players and those that are not big now but will be big very, very soon. With hopefully
like
with
HyperGuest, for example, just to name you. Like HyperGuest, for example, just to name you.
Exactly. So that's
Cool.
it.
Thank you, Jose. Do you have any question, Mark, for Jose?
No, I think, I know that their business model, I know that they've been really, really successful. And I think that the product is really, really covering the needs of travel agencies and tour operators all around. Especially they have really nice features, especially the routing product. So they have a really, obviously they're standard booking engines, but also they have really specific nice features.
I would say that something we've been working on very, very, very hard is to not only to offer what is a basic one, transfers and flights and hotel, but also combining all of them so that we innovate. So then we obviously the key element of our proposal is the multi-destination, which is able to combine many destinations and many products in a matter of seconds. But also we have the routing, something that we you can combine several destinations, every product, but with your own car. And this is something we came up with within the pandemic. So yeah, we are crazy people looking to keep it innovating on a daily basis.
Amazing. Thanks, Jose. Patrick, it's your turn.
Yes, thanks a lot. Let me just share my screen here.
I hope it's going to be a nice screen. Yes.
Coming up.
See it? Here we are.
Perfect.
Okay, cool.
So, what we do at Nesasa is really all about multi-day tours. We empower the travel plans to automate and personalize it. And we started this business, me together with my co-founders, really because it's just too complex to do multi-day, multi-week trips at once. We did that 10 years ago, actually. By now we are 50 people, a bit more than half in tech roles, based in Switzerland and Portugal, where I'm right now sitting, and we are a strong focus on the UK this year. I just put 3 names there that probably all of you know. Those are 3 big tour operators that we are already working with. When I talk about multi-day tours, then I talk about the connected trip, about what we also call multi-product. And it's not just about the initial booking, really. It's much more. We have to look at the full user journey. It starts with the initial booking, of course, and we might have a few components in there, flight, hotels, but it really then goes further, right? It's like in the pre-departure, there is more experience in travel planning, and then we might add some activities, and even further during the trip you might book something in destination, add a new activity for the day you haven't had something planned yet. And what we are really focusing on is to make this smooth, to make this less error prone, and with the business logic that everything fits together nicely. But let me quickly show you that, maybe so that you have a first impression what I mean. When you can start here, so I'm on the live platform. This could, for example, be the offering of a tour operator to travel agents. So we have here a set of already best-selling packages that the tour operator, for example, prepared. We could start from scratch, of course, but here we start now with a trip. Let's go to Spain. We have the description of the trip with this multi-days, multiple stops that we will pass. We can say when we travel. Now what we do is we have all these integrations that source product either from offline supply or online supply. In this case, we check what the tour operator has as default products in this very specific template, and we already postulate that. So we have here 4 stops. You see that from Malaga to Granada. And now when I said we want to keep it consistent, it's really about, we invest a lot of time into making sure you cannot break the thing. So when you now move something, everything moves, we get an live availability, we update the price accordingly. You can go further, of course, you can add activities. We already have a rental car in here, and you can go further with adding, for example, Cordoba, because while we are already in south of Spain, of course, why not going to Cordoba? System tells us it would fit one nicely between Sevilla and Granada. We can add that. We can say how long we go. We could also say now between Malaga when we arrive, well, we don't need the rental car yet. So we go with shuttle and we update everything in the system again, make sure everything is moved around correctly. We see now we have Cordoba, we could search now a hotel and add that. I will skip that. And then of course you can also further in flights and you book everything at once. So in short or summarized, we have real-time planning and booking that can be also a collaborative process between the traveler and the travel agency. We have reusable templates for the packages. We have omni-channel, so it can be an IB that you integrate in a website, or it can be the solution directly for the agents. And we have APIs. We know that not everybody wants our UIs that are out of the box. You might just tweak it, you might optimize for SEO reasons, etc. So there are nice APIs below. When I mentioned before that that we have big customers already or tour operators, there is always an enterprise customers, an additional topic besides what you have as well for a bit smaller companies, and that is you need to be, we call it enterprise proof, and you really have to kind of be integrating into a bigger landscape. So what we have is we have all around the big red block, you have API layers towards the front end, as well as the sourcing side to get your supply in. So we have already countless supply integrations with bed banks, with tour providers, but you can add your own. We have marketplace supply. So if you can't get your own contract, you can source from the marketplace supply. You can then, of course, also combine it. Some is your contract, some is from the marketplace, offline inventory to manage anything that you might source directly from a DMC, for example, and what I just before said, enterprise grade. So this is one product that we have, the Trip Builder, and the other product, the second product is Trip Booster, mobile optimized companion. That's then the in-destination side for the consumer that they can easily add an activity, a rental car, and all goes into the very same itinerary. So the travel experts as well as the consumers, they always have the same view and they can work together on that connected trip and adjust it during planning, but also after the booking. And yeah, that's us.
Very interesting. I mean, Mark, we have the right people in this panel, right? Right.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So,
and I think that both of them, they have really interesting different approaches. I mean, they're targeting, obviously, both they are targeting travel demand generators, but different types of them. Okay, but I mean, I don't know if I can ask a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Mark.
Question for both of them.
Go ahead.
So first of all, will be for Patrick about the Trip Booster. Is it something that is kind of an extension of Trip Planner, or is it kind of a separate product?
It's both, actually. Right now we'll use it more as an extension, but there are already plans to have it as a standalone product. We actually have already implemented an API, so any tour operator with existing bookings that are in some other reservation system, you could import them and upsell on top.
Okay. And the other that I'm really curious, and it's for Jose, it's about the cruise booking engine, because I know that this type of product, it's really challenging when it comes to booking. So, I mean, can you tell us a bit more about it? I mean, how many in terms of companies are suppliers are connected there? I mean, maybe you can go a little bit deeper on this booking engine.
Well, let me tell you that first of all, I'm not really specialized in cruises. This is something relatively new for me. What I can tell you is that something that we created and we came up with in the last few months. We have now 5 clients that are using it intensively and are helping us to tune the little things that they need. We are in partner with a provider that is helping us to get connected with the ship companies and helping us to scale in both the supply and the client side. So it's been an amazing project for us, because it was really something. Obviously, we're starting from the same platform, and we try to always find the synergies, helping on the technical side, on the product side. But this was really, I mean, it's for one reason that there are so few, or there aren't that many providers worldwide giving this or offering this booking engine. And so far so good. We are extremely happy with it, and I think that in order to be fully holistic, you have to cover this. Cruises is a business that in the last decade has been growing massively, and it was about time to come up with something really interesting, affordable, and really unique.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about check-in day, check-out, get the right place to sleep within the cruise, get the boards, full board, half board. At the end, it's more or less like hotel, no? Booking a cruise.
Yeah, but the point is, something extremely interesting is that you can choose your room in the ship. So the level of detail is a little bit more sophisticated than in hotel. I guess that sooner or later we'll be able to book exactly the room that I want, the room that I want in the hotel. At the moment, that's not really the case. So in the case of cruises, you can, and this is something that the kind of features you have to bring to put over the table.
Yeah, so how it links to on the previous panel where we were talking about attribute-based distribution. So at the end of the day, when you are setting the prices for a room or a cabin on a cruise, all the cabins, they have different pricing because of their location. So depending on the floor they are, depending if they're facing one direction, the other direction. So it's I'm pretty sure that it's a little bit more complex right now that a hotel like setting a double standard room. But sooner or later, hotels will also get them. Obviously, there are less cruise ships around than hotels. Okay, so probably it's easier to understand, to standardize it. But yeah, I guess it must have been a really, really interesting project.
Right, so let me go ahead with one of the questions we were discussing. So where are we and where are we coming from when it comes to multi-product and connected travel products? So basically where we were 10 years ago and where we are now. Jose.
Well, I think that's interesting. I think that there are a few things. I could mention a number of things in terms of what we used to happen and what is going on, what's going on now. I think that we used to, or operators used to be working in kind of a silos, unconnected. Whereas you cannot conceive any platform, system, or way of working with being connected at all times through different systems, through different in several ways. So I would say this is something that is impacting in the way clients have become so demanding at the moment. I think that they used to work offline, and now everything is not only online; it's real time, straight away. I think that technology used to be like a stopper somehow to a certain extent, because it wasn't really affordable a few years ago, and at the moment, this is something that happened in many industries. Technology is becoming more and more accessible and more affordable. So this is something that is completely different. Companies like ourselves have to keep innovating and giving our best in order to stay there and in the first position. I think that the way used to a single product used to be most of the business a few years ago. At the moment, clients tend to look for places. Patrick was mentioning now the marketplace that they have. We have a marketplace, and I think that every single company has to create this momentum with supply and demand. And so now the combination of product is absolutely a must, or a way to get access to all those products in a consistent way through one click, a click away from your computer. I think that there used to be before an idea, a clear distinction of what happened before the booking and even before the arrival, and then what happened within the trip or even after. At the moment, this is merged, and I think that those operators that are we as tech partners, tech partner experts and operators are expecting us to create these systems, this solution, allowing them to have a full understanding and full ownership and control of what's going on before, within, and after the trip. And I would say that something important I would say is that the manpower resources in generally talking used to be the key element. And I think that at the moment players like Compositor, ourselves, we are trying to, and you can allow me to say that, democratizing the access to technology and making more accessible so that our clients can focus on their customers. So manpower to clients with the bridge of technology, and I would say those are the main differences about what used to happen and what's going on now, and that is impacting in the way we add value to our communities.
Great, Patrick. So I like to get your opinion on that, because compared to Travel Compositor and Jose, maybe as a company you're younger, right? So you may have a similar perspective. What's your vision on that?
Yeah, I mean, we are also already 10 years old, and it's very interesting what has happened in this 10 years old. I mean, we always focused really on this connected trip thing. And when we looked at what we had to do or were we able to do 10 years ago, connectivity was simply not there yet. We couldn't just reach out to the supply, to APIs and pull in whatever product type. Yes, there were flights, yes, there were hotels, but it pretty much stopped there. And when we also think about what before Javier and Andrew told us, with all the normalization that has to happen, only that kind of technology enables now us, Travel Compositor and Nesado, to really pull everything together into a package to make users and enable travel agents and also consumers to select themselves between different type of product and offers. And that was simply not available before 10 years ago. Nevertheless, I think we're still not there. So I guess we still talk a little bit where we should go. I mean, yes, there is a lot has been done, but there is still a lot to be done. And technology like ours actually works around a lot of things that we have to do to make things looking smooth and simple. I think that's actually the biggest challenge that we have as companies, to make it look simple. When you click on a button and a lot of things happen, people think, oh, easy. But there is a lot happening in the backend, in the systems, to just make it look easy and simple.
Well, when people say we want to transform this industry easier, we start to complicate life anyway in general. So now everyone talks about this metaverse approach and traveling without moving, kind of approach, which is fun. So again, we are fixing issue in a way and complicate the life in another. So, but looking at your platform, right? So it's obvious that you are there a lot to support, travel demand players. So how can you support and help travel demand players to become more competitive compared to big brands such as, I don't know, let's name some of them, Classic, Expedia, Booking, and etc. So how can you support those players, guys?
I think it's really. May I? Sorry, Justin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think it's really all about distinction. So travel players have to have distinction against or compared to the really, really big ones. Without that, they just compete directly online, and that's just hard with the volume they have. And what we aim for is helping them to establish that distinction in terms of how they address the market, how they target to the market, and ultimately also automate their processes so they have more time to address the market. I mean, current travel players can still well sell if as more specific they are. If they have a generic hotel you can get everywhere, it's tricky. If you have, I don't know, a kite surf player that has something in south of Spain, then they can distinct themselves, and our technology should help them then to do so.
Jose, if I'm a little tour operator and I want to survive against those big brands, and I have some money to invest with Travel Compositors, so tell me, how can you help me?
Well, I think that I mean, we have to combine. I mean, making magic. It's possible, and I think that it comes from.
I like that. I like that.
From doing. I mean, it's about making. I mean, it's about. I mean, somebody told me once that you have to create things like, I don't know, this mouse, and then be able to sell it again and again and again. Yeah, without fabricating, manufacturing the same mouse again and again. Yeah. So I think that's what we have been focusing on within all those years, is to create a product, meaning a very customized product, but a system that allow us to pivot and not to implement an overall monster system in every single one of those clients. Because at the end of the day, most of the, I mean, 80% of their needs are going to be absolutely the same. So I think combining this usability with customization and being able to deliver something affordable, that's key. And that's I think that's the key element to help them. Having this maintenance cost to the minimum, and so that we invest in innovation and keep adding things and new features that are included, and allow them to be able to compete with the big guys. That's crucial. Something that I would like to say is that this innovation is key, and a way we have approached it in the last few weeks, very recently, is by launching our new startups summit competition, to identify on the field of travel, so that we identify talented people with new solutions, so that we can absorb and incorporate it. So all things like we have a team that is a mix of team members from engineering, product, sales, marketing, and we allocate their time of one single day, and it's an expensive team and a great team to work together specifically in innovating, finding new ways to add value. And I think that keep with this obsession, is crucial for us to not to be commoditized in the market.
I understand. But as you are providing, different solutions for different also niche and clients and type of vertical, what are your main challenge when you are implementing your products? Patrick.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I think I would like to connect to my previous answer about enabling them to be distinct. We all know that depending on what is your source market, consumer market, what is your destination, travel, how you sell travel is always again a little bit different, especially when it comes to packages. India is more fixed, US is more flexible, or Europe and so on. I think the biggest challenge is to walk the fine line between offering all this customization yet having a scalable product that we can keep improving together and for our customers, so they can address their markets in the way they can increase their conversions and get the bookings in that they want to have and need to have.
Jose?
Oh, I mean, it is. I think it makes sense to wonder how is that producing and delivering such an amazing technology. I'm not talking about ourselves, but there are a few players out there. How is that clients or operators don't adopt it or don't implement it faster? Yeah. So I would say that according to our experience, for them to follow the right path and they be successful in the digitalization, I think that there is a key element, and it is qualifying partners. I think that it happens to us that people are really delighted with technology, and they fall in love with the technology, but they have to be aware of the need of a commitment. Getting digitalized, implementing systems, and to show a better version of yourself requires a change, a transformation. And we are not just producers of the best unique technology. We have to help those guys, take them by the hand, and accompany them through this transition. So, and there has to be a commitment, because it's all about change and changing the status quo. So I think that's the challenge, at least the way we see that, is that for those guys to be fully committed, they have to be fully committed in their change. And changing, as you know, is getting out of your comfort area, doing things differently. There are two operators out there that have a really great product, and you tell them, hey, you guys, in order to survive, you have to become online and start playing a different way. And sometimes you find a crazy CEO that is really in love, but then it's about convincing and persuading the organization to change. And this is a really challenge for us. So that's our experience. So this qualifying system, or this qualifying process, is key for us to be happy with their growth. And that's the way we.
I totally agree with you, Jose. I totally agree with you. I had same issue in the past, selling solution to clients really excited to adopt technology, but they actually were not ready to implement those technology. It's not about only putting money on the table here. It's putting an infrastructure, organization, processes, people, resources.
Money is the
last issue.
The cheapest is the last issue.
It's the last issue. Yeah,
exactly.
It's true. So, last question. I will ask this also to you, Mark. Where do you see the industry in 10 years from now?
Oh, should I start? This is a tricky one. Okay, so but probably, I mean, no one will blame me if I fail. Okay, so but probably the industry is going to, I mean, especially if we take what we've heard today on the previous panel and also on this one, I think that the big challenge for the industry is to make sure that all the travel companies are actually taking advantage of the technology that is out there. Okay, so technology per se right now is not a problem for this industry. Okay, and there's new technology developing that will allow us to reply faster, to handle bigger chunks of data, to play with the data. Okay, so there's all the big data, AI, coming to the travel industry. So for me, this is the path we're going to take. Okay, the thing is that I'm not sure that all the brick and mortar tour operators and travel agencies are actually willing to do what is needed to do in order to take a risk. Okay, because obviously embracing new technology, it represents a risk. okay, and to push themselves out of the comfort zone, as Jose said. I think obviously if they can do that, I'm pretty sure that they will succeed because they have the client base, but I don't see, I mean, most of them going on that direction. So probably there's going to be new players entering the market. Not actually travel agencies. There's all the super apps, okay, that kind of players that at the end, they're kind of a single point of access from the customer perspective, where you will be able to book a flight and also to order some, some delivery food, wherever, on a single API, okay. And yeah, I think this is the way we're going.
That's a great point. Patrick, you're on mute.
Sorry for that. Well, crystal ball reading, especially after the last 2 years, is a tricky thing, right? And as Kift already with their mega trend said, uncertainty is the new certainty. So I think what we will see is that digitalization is not something, a trend or something you should do. It's just a must-have in 10 years, 5 to 10 years. There is no talking about it. So everything needs to go faster. It has to be more integrated. It has to be more connected. I still think there are a few things that in the travel industry not even have been tackled, and something that we, for example, overall call frictionless travel is something that I think down the road everybody has to look in. And that, what I mean with that is, after the planning, making everything smooth for all parties, for all stakeholders, for the travel as well as for the travel experts. If something goes wrong, right now you have escalation, phone calls, and everybody is in a rush, and that we also address this kind of topics in the future with the technology that we have at hand, with the data that we have at hand, and obviously with the smartness of the data through machine learning, artificial intelligence, that we can pull in more and more down the road.
Thank you, Patrick. 1 minute, last minute, Jose, for you.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I think that I'm not really good at figuring out what's going to happen. But there are a few things I'm sure that are going to be ingredients of the recipe that we'll find in 10 years. As Patty was mentioning, I think that data will be key. Definitely, I think getting closer to the customer will be also a must have, and then the technology will be there and will be kicking and trying to do our best. Absolutely, technology will keep being a key element. Absolutely must have to keep growing.
Perfect. All right. Thanks to Nezasa. Thanks to Travel Compositor, Jose, Patrick. Thanks for joining us. I hope to have you on board again in some future event. And have a nice day. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Mark. So we are almost at the end. I see all the speakers already in the waiting room. So let's introduce quickly the video of the third panel, and we'll start the conversation. All right. Good afternoon, Roman. Welcome for the second day of Distribution 2.0. I know you have great guests to moderate. I just want to say good afternoon and welcome to Cindy, Spencer, and Sasha. Me and Mark, we will move ourselves from the screen and stay on the backstage. If you need my hand, just raise and give me a shout and I will be there. Okay? So you can take the words and carry on. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Enzo, for the introduction there. Congratulations on a successful session just there wrapping up. Today's discussion is on extreme bookings or waves of extreme bookings / cancellations. Volatility could be here to stay. How should the travel sector respond, and is cancellation insurance the answer? We're living in a world where travelers quite literally don't know whether they're coming or going from 1 week to the next, resulting in massive waves of bookings, followed by massive waves of cancellations at the slightest notice of bad news. And as an industry, we need to work out how we can de-risk the challenges of mass cancellations and the refund element of that. I'd like to say thank you today to the panelists that we've got here. We're going to introduce in just a second. I'd like to say thank you to HyperGuest for having me on to moderate a second day in a row and putting this all together. And obviously, thank you to everybody watching at home, wherever you are, or watching on playback. Few housekeeping points. If you could pump this out on social media, share, take pictures, we'd be very grateful, driving the audience. Remember, you can ask questions, you get in the chat. Enzo sees those, he filters those. Please click them clean, positive, relevant to the debate. And we'd also like you to reach out to all of the speakers. You can find them on LinkedIn, you can see their names on the screen. I'm sure they would love to hear from you. And just lastly, full disclosure, anyone who knows me and who knows Spencer will know that we work together. So we're our client. I wouldn't wish anyone to think that I'm presenting it to be anything otherwise. Later on in the day, in the debate, we're going to do a selfie. Hope everybody's ready for that. Best pictures, and we'll be promoting that on social media. So the structure today is going to be, we're going to divide. First of all, we're going to hear from each of the speakers to explain a little bit about themselves and their role in their company. And then we're going to break this topic down into 4 subject matters, which I'll put to the floor and everyone will answer. If questions come in that are relevant along the way or at the end, we'll do it. And we've got about 36, 37 minutes, so plenty of time to discuss this topic. Introducing the speakers. So first, in order that they're on the screen now, I suppose, Sasha from Battleface. Sasha, do you want to introduce yourself, your role, your company, just briefly?
Yeah, sure. I'm with Battleface. What we do, we build travel insurance internationally, and we use technology to unbundle travel insurance and put it back together. So we make it absolutely relevant to today's travelers.
Excellent. Thank you, Sasha. Looking forward to having your input. Spencer, you're the next one down there in the kind of university challenge type boxes. Spencer's from NEOM. Please tell us a bit more about NEOM, Spencer, and your role.
Yeah, so nice to be here and thank you for the invitation. Nice to be involved. Spencer, I work for a company called NEOM, which is essentially a very rapidly growing fintech, a company born out of Southeast Asia about 8 years ago with the mission to deliver modern money movement around the world, essentially allow businesses, primarily businesses, to pay anyone, anywhere, with the minimum amount of hassle. NEOM acquired a company called Exaris during the course of last year. For many people in the travel industry, both the hotel booking, but also the OTA and even the airline space will recognize the name Exaris, a much older company, about 18 years old, and a specialist in virtual credit cards. And it's nice to be here.
Thank you, Spencer. Looking forward to your responses as well. And last but not least, Cindy from Protect Group. Tell us a bit more about yourself and your role.
Hi, Spencer. Thank you so much for inviting us to this talk. My name is Cindy. I'm the Business Development Manager for the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region at Protect Group. And what Protect Group does is basically makes any normal online booking refundable. And if the guest is unable to attend the booking for any unforeseen circumstance in their lives, like COVID, then we do the refunding on behalf of the business, and the business retains the booking revenue.
Excellent. Okay, well, looking forward to your insight there. So I think a nice selection on the panel there. Obviously, we've done that deliberately, but looking at this from different perspectives, whether it be insurance, refunds, and the tech side of it all. And we're gonna get into the tech part later on as well. Taking you in the order that you are all there. So Sasha first, then Spencer, then Cindy. First question we're going to all discuss is a lot of the volatility that we've seen with cancellations and then mass bookings has been driven by COVID recently in a very extreme way, obviously, that we've never seen before in any, in the history of mankind. But obviously, there are a lot of other risks out there that can drive volatility. And it appears that volatility is kind of the new constant, whether we're talking about geopolitical, particularly over the last couple of months, and the terrible situations we've seen around the world, particularly in Ukraine, obviously, natural disasters, terrorism, environmental threats as time goes on. Hopefully not, but it could be there. Financial, economical, and so on. Is volatility the new constant? What are the threats that we're seeing and we should be preparing for? Sasha, do you want to go first there?
Yeah, sure. At least speaking on behalf of the travel insurance industry, that has been in our minds for the last several decades, right? Asian tsunami, for example, or ash volcano, or Ebola pandemic. All of these events had a huge impact on the way we travel, and of course on travel insurance, and the risk as well. And that's why within the travel insurance space, what was needed before COVID-19 and especially after COVID-19 is to have an ability to create products that are very relevant to today's environment, and also relevant to today's travelers, and also relevant to the actual destination where you're traveling to. Otherwise, what we're seeing in the marketplace, when you have a one-size-fits-all type of product, where there's no difference where you're traveling to or what are you doing while you're traveling, those products really don't work for today's environment, and especially they don't work for today's travelers. So from the insurance perspective, that certainly is now in the forefront for everybody within the insurance industries, to make sure that you have the right products at the right price, and consumers are extremely aware of what they're looking for and what they need.
Okay, some interesting insight there. Spencer, do you want to come up next on that question? What's your view here? Do you think that this, the volatility is the new constant, and what are the things that we need to be responding to?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to spend the majority of my life in and around travel. My father worked for British Airways, and I was born in Hamburg when he was a station manager for the precursor to BA, a company called BEA. And so I've lived through the two Gulf Wars, avian flu. In fact, I was in Israel and Turkey when we had the second Gulf War, and we evacuated, and aircraft are avoiding the area. So travel's always been volatile. It is, by its nature, a global business. And if something happens in one part of the world, the major operators, whether it's the bookers, the GDSs, the airlines, and then finally the consumer, probably the most important in that chain, are affected in some way or form. But I think you alluded to it earlier on, Roman, in your opening comments. What's startling is the scale, the wave. I think you used the name wave in the title, and that's really fascinating about what's happened to our industry right now. It's happening all over the world very quickly. So you only have to look at the Omicron variant to see how quickly borders were being closed, whether that was effective or ineffective in the instance. But we're having to adapt to that. It's not a small pocket of the globe that is looking like it's going to be troublesome for a period of time, and then we can react and plan to it. It's the announcement of a new variant and then borders shutting within 24, 48, 72 hours. And that's incredibly challenging for all members of the value chain. I can only speak for our part, where we essentially see a tidal wave of money changing direction very, very quickly. Essentially, you better be ready for that, because that change, that tsunami of change in direction of funds and flow of funds can upend your business, can certainly upset your customers, and can destroy the relationships with your business partners. So the days of being able to rely on 3-day settlement periods, on manual processes, are long gone in this era, should I say, of volatility.
Sort of summing up, so you said there's always been volatility, but now it's more extreme. It's a kind of before and after kind of thing.
Beautifully put, but yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Spencer. Some interesting insights there. And I know that you have a view on a lot of different businesses there that you're working with, and so you're speaking with authority there. Cindy, so what's your view? Is it before and after? What kind of how epic a change are we in?
I mean, it obviously existed pre-COVID. There's always environmental issues. There's, geopolitical issues. But at the moment, when COVID happened, I think the majority of people weren't expecting a global pandemic. And now, 2 years down the line, I think it's become the new normal. I think we were waiting for things to go back to the old normal, but we realized that that might not happen. So if anything, we're just kind of adapting to the new situation. And we do find that guests are very hesitant to commit to a booking in the travel industry at the moment, just because of this volatility and the somewhat post-traumatic stress that we have, that anything could happen next week. So it is a more volatile environment. And I think if anything, we're just learning to live with it. And that's where new companies are coming in and kind of making it possible for the traveler.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you there, Cindy. Some good insights as well. And I'm sure that you're seeing it from a lot of perspectives as well. You're speaking with authority too. Moving on to the next question then we've got on the list, or sort of, breaking down this debate. We see clouds there. I think would be a way of just sort of summarising what you're saying. There are clouds on the horizon, but clouds can often have a silver lining. Could for the travel industry, could cancellation insurance be part of that silver lining, or are there other products that we need to use to respond to? How do we respond? How do we monetize this? Or at the very least, keep going. Sasha, do you want to go first there? What do you see? What opportunities do you see?
Yeah, sure. I think cancellation insurance is always there as part of the chain, but relying on cancellation insurance at 100% is also not sustainable. Because it does take multiple parties to actually come to the table. So, for instance, if everyone in the world relies on travel insurance to be the primary focus for cancellation, then we'll have a problem within the industry. I think travel suppliers and travel providers really need to continue to have flexible cancellation and change policies as well, because that's what we've seen in the last 2 years, that all of a sudden airlines or online travel agencies and hotels became somewhat flexible. And that's what really gives the confidence back to the consumer as well. And that what also offsets the 100% of the risk just being taken by the cancellation insurance. Because cancellation insurance will not be able to sustain that going forward, because we'll continue to see disruptions, new variants, new cancellations, not enough staff, or this is going to be ongoing, and different pandemics, different disasters, and relying on the insurance at 100% is not realistic. And the third element to this is the consumer as well. For the last 2 years, customers became very well aware of what's happening around the world. We're becoming to be more acceptable of possible changes and interruptions, and have less expectations, so to speak, right, from 3 years ago to now. So I think it takes three parties, the actual insurance companies, travel providers, and customers to come all together in this.
Interesting. So a lot of elements. There's no one sort of killer thing. You're saying it's got.
Yeah.
We've all got to do this.
Yeah. Not in cancellation insurance at 100% is not realistic, but certainly a big part of it.
Okay. So interesting insight there from an insurer. So it's nice to hear you saying that there's a wider solution. It's not just one thing. Spencer, what's your view on this? Where are the opportunities? Is cancellation insurance the answer? Should we be selling some other kind of product? What do we need to do to respond to this challenge?
Yeah, I think a couple of things to talk about. Let's bifurcate it. Let's talk about after the event, similar to cancellation insurance. I know you make the decision prior to the trip, and I pick up on Cindy's point that essentially our attitude to travel is changing dramatically. I certainly feel a sense of dread occasionally when booking now, because if it's something you're looking forward to, the sense of anxiety rises pre-trip, whereas that used to be a sense of excitement and looking forward to it. But put that to one side. I think there's two areas. One is vouchers, and particularly speaking about airlines here, the knee-jerk reaction to attempting to refund individuals in the era of the pandemic was to rely on vouchers for obvious commercial reasons to try and hold on to cash, and fully understood. However, the industry wasn't ready for it and the consumer wasn't ready for it. Websites weren't ready to handle it. You had to revert to the call center. Call centers were overloaded. Consumers didn't know the rules and terms of the vouchers and were running a stock of them that were expiring. The whole thing's a mess, and it also became a balance sheet item for certain big players. That has to be fixed somehow. The key players in the airline world need to fix and find an alternative that's better than vouchers, or certainly better run than the current voucher system, because that is driving customers away in droves. And secondly, I'd like to see an evolution in terms of flexibility. So historically, airlines price their tickets in two ways. One, in terms of the class of cabin, so you pay more obviously for the premium cabins than you do for economy cabin, with all of the product features therein. But the second one is to do with flexibility. You can buy a fully flexible fare at the highest price, or you can buy a inflexible fare that you can't refund, etc., etc. That's markedly different to the way that hotels and venues price. So if you were to book a wedding, you would be asked to pay a deposit a certain period out, then a further payment, maybe 50%, maybe 75%, and the final amount closer in. I can see a world where we start moving towards that sort of pricing. We want consumers to be planning 12 months ahead to go to Disneyland with their family. I've just been to Disneyland. I'm hoping I don't go back in within 12 months. But we want people to be booking out. I mean, the industry needs that. However, people don't want to commit that money with the view that they'll get it back as a voucher, right? They don't want to give up that flexibility. So I'd like to see the industry commercially innovate, but also technically innovate, so that we can see more flexibility around the payment and the level of commitment the consumer is making in this high level of uncertainty.
Yeah. Okay, so some interesting insights there. So the fractional payment thing one's an interesting one. I know that in some parts of Latin America, I think Brazil, fractional payments are quite popular. People literally pay for flights in installments, but not in other markets. The voucher one's interesting as well. I certainly had an interesting policy from an airline last year who cancelled on me and promised me a voucher. And then when I went to redeem the voucher, they just denied that it ever existed. I thought that was a fantastic policy. But there you go. It literally said, no, we never said that.
Yeah. From the insurance perspective, we're starting to see customers asking for cancellation insurance up to 2 years in advance, because historically it's been up to 12 months, and now we're seeing the demand up to 24 months as well. So it certainly is a trend within the travel industry.
Wow, 2 years in advance. That really is a long way out. I can't think what I'm going to be doing 2 years from now. But if there's a demand, we should be giving it to people. And presumably, a business like yours, you're selling B2B as well, so there's an opportunity for travel sellers to make a commission, everybody's in the marketplace now.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's actually coming from travel suppliers as well, because they have customers that would like to book so far in advance, and they're looking for a policy that would be able to offer that protection as well. So yeah, it's still kind of like it's a three-way approach, right? A customer, a provider, and an insurance company of trying to come up with the right products. Okay, no, you make an interesting point there. I think it's for the whole travel distribution chain. It's not just for the person making the final sale or whatever. Cindy, so what's your take on this? Is there a silver lining to this cloud? Obviously, you provide cancellation insurance of a sort, so I'm sure you would see that as one of the answers. But what do you think more generally?
Absolutely. I mean, it definitely is a way to mitigate the situation that we're in at the moment. And just to add to what you were speaking about before, we do make bookings refundable 24 months in advance. But we do find, obviously, that the last 2 days, the last 48 hours is when the majority of our cancellations happen, because there's not much that can happen a year before that will really prohibit you from being able to attend a hotel booking, for example. So we do have extensive terms and conditions, such as refunding 24 months in advance. We are not actually an insurance, we're a refund product, we're a tech solution. So we make online bookings refundable. And if the guest couldn't attend for genuine reasons, like a flu or life got in the way for whatever reason, then we would do the refunding. And we definitely find that the market is responding very well at the moment. Pre-COVID, we were having about 18% conversion. At the moment, post-COVID, we're having about 30 to 40%. So that's 1 in 3 or 1 in 2 people are picking the refundable option. So it might not be the complete end-all be-all solution. I think it will be a number of things working together to kind of come out of the situation and work with the new norm. But it definitely is encouraging advanced bookings, because guests know that if they book a year in advance, if they couldn't attend for whatever reason a year down the line, then they would get their money back. So we're finding businesses are actually using this as a marketing tool to be able to bring the money into the business and hopefully keep it there.
So people see your product from the consumer perspective at the final stage when they go to make the booking, click here. That's when they see they can get the refund, the policy that you're offering. Yeah, is that right?
Exactly. So when they're booking a non-refundable, they get to the point of checkout. We just present a tick box option. Would you like to opt in to a refundable booking? It's cost neutral to the business, so we don't have fees or premiums or any negotiations or anything like that. We just charge the guest a little bit more if they want to make the booking refundable. So there's no obligations. And again, if we couldn't attend, then we do all of the refunding and we handle the operations as well. So instead of you having the headache and having a team of people responding to refunds, we take that work away from you, and we also finance the refunds.
Okay, so that's interesting, because for businesses out there that are worried about travel sellers or suppliers who are worried about the de-risking, I suppose one of the ways to de-risk is to bring in somebody like yourself. Because then that's going to take the pressure off of them on the phones and so on when something happens. Okay, then, thank you. Moving on to the third question, or third sort of sub part of the debate, and this is where I think it's going to be very interesting for lots of people watching at home, in the office, wherever you are. Talk about the tech side of things, right? So, what role is technology playing in all of this? Given that the waves that we've seen now are just unprecedented. Huge volumes, and certainly in a world 20 years ago, 30 years ago, no one would have been able to cope with those, with just call centers and so on. So tech is playing a role, but what role is it playing and should be playing going forward? So, automating processes, speeding up refunds, responding to customer inquiries, stopping frauds, and all the different tech that we can see in there, bots, AI, whatever it might be. Sasha, do you want to go first? What are you seeing? What are you doing in your business, obviously, and what are you seeing more widely in the industry?
I guess all of the above, of course, everything you just listed, and then what Spencer was talking about in the beginning as well. There's the immediacy of refunds and payments back. There's no more excuses in terms of waiting for a week or two or a month or 3 for decision making, and that's one of the biggest challenges I think that we've seen in the insurance industry, probably in the insurance industry, but at least in the travel insurance industry, is how do you start making those changes? For example, when during COVID-19, a lot of consumers were faced with immediate cancellations from the airlines, and they couldn't travel, but airlines were giving full refunds back to customers and to passengers. But travel insurance has this clause: if you don't cancel within 14 days after buying your travel insurance, you don't get your money back. So the travel insurance industry quickly had to scrap that and change it and adapt to the current, right? So if consumers are not able to travel and they're not using the travel insurance, they should be getting 100% refund back. So those are the kind of things that we've seen during COVID-19, and going forward, of course, on the claims handling process, certainly this is where the automation is key. The claim form should not be in existence, so to speak. It should be all immediate. If there's any delays or a misconnecting flight, there's ways to track someone's flights and then send the money directly to them based on that delay. So those are the things that we'll see in the travel insurance industry continue to evolve and continue to develop, especially once it comes to trip interruptions, travel delays, immediate changes, and also your ability to buy the policy while you're traveling, because historically you could only purchase travel insurance before you left your home. COVID-19 had shown us that now you could be stuck in another country and you're not able to return back home. So what happens from the protection perspective while you're there? Because travel insurance is not only for trip cancellation, it's also for medical emergencies, medical evacuation, and everything while you're traveling. So those are the things that we'll see, and that's only solvable with technology.
I just understand right now, are there any insurance providers, yourselves, whoever, who, if my flight is cancelled, the money's automatically coming back, I don't need to make an application, they're tracking it, or you think that's a prediction?
Yeah, it's already happening. We're seeing that in the marketplace, and some have even taken it a bit further, right? So if your flight is delayed for more than 3 hours, you get the money while you're waiting at the airport. Those are the very interesting new things that are taking place within the travel insurance industry, and that's all as a result of the last 2 to 3 years.
That's very interesting. Okay, well, I'm excited by that. I hope, certainly, I'm sure, like everyone, had experiences of these things that have been time consuming. Spencer, tell us a bit more. What role do you think? Well, what role is tech playing in your business right now to cope with this? And what are you seeing in the wider industry? What do you recommend people do?
Okay, dangerous area because I'm not an IT person, so don't probe too much, Roman, here, because it's only a thin veneer of knowledge.
Don't worry, there's only about 500 people watching.
So just picking up on what's been said earlier and using the example of innovators in terms of Cindy and Sasha's company. So one's innovating in insurance and unbundling insurance and making it clever little product offerings there, and the others specializing in making the refund process. And what I would say is that no one company, no one enterprise is going to be able to move as fast and as far as they necessarily want on their own. It's collaboration in the industry. And for me, my understanding, limited understanding, is that APIs is the key to that. And for those of you who know less than I do, which is probably not very many of you, APIs is essentially taking what you do, breaking it down into many components and publishing it and making it available for others to innovate on technically. So this is machines talking to machines, finding standard services and making them available for others to build upon. So we're a financial services provider, but there's no reason in the world why we can't collaborate through standard API interfaces with other innovators like Sasha and Cindy and their businesses to provide a proposition that brings the best of both worlds. And I think that's what technology and this sort of easy plug and play, very easy to say, I know, and there's usually detail underneath that makes it more challenging, but it's there, right? And it's robust, it's built, and it's used millions of times a day by companies all over the world. And that's what I think is exciting, so that you bring the collective to build something that really starts to solve the problem at scale.
Okay, yeah, I think scale is definitely a good word here, given certainly the challenges we've seen in the last few years. And I like the machine to machine talking bit there. I like that as well. I think we're definitely going to need a lot more of that to resolve the kind of challenges we're facing. Cindy, what's your take on this? How are you using technology in your business to speed up, introduce efficiencies, manage the challenges?
Mm-hmm. So obviously we're a tech solution, so technology is kind of a prominent and integral part of our product that we provide. We use AI, we use image detection, we use language translations, we even use text analytics, just so that we can streamline the refunds process. And just to give you an example, we're always upgrading these technologies. And last year, our refund time was on average 48 hours. And this year, 2022 year to date, April end, our average refund time actually became 7 hours. And we're constantly upgrading the technology. We have obviously a big technology team and a big customer experience team that works to kind of streamline these refunds so that we can do them very quickly, and it's an integral part of our company and of our solution. And I don't think we would be able to have kind of the way that we refund if we didn't use the technology that we used. And not to brag, we also have a Trustpilot of 4.8, and that's because of the speed with which we're able to refund and the technologies that we use. That's kind of the essential part of our business. It's the core of what we do. So I would say that's the main solution for us is using that kind of technology.
Well, it sounds like there's certainly no going back. Trustpilot is absolutely unforgiving as a website, so anyone who's got a score above 1 is very good in my my experience, because people only go on there to put negative reviews. So I think you must be doing something right. Okay then, so moving on to the next and last section. Just sort of conscious of time, we've only got about another sort of 5 or 6 minutes or so before we start to run out of time. So we could give sort of concise answers. One single recommendation would you have for travel businesses for how to respond to this? Obviously, I know you thought about this beforehand, you've seen the questions in advance. So, but if you could just give us a sort of short answer to what recommendation you might have for travel businesses on how to overcome the kind of bookings volatility, bookings, cancellations, refunds, and all the rest of it. Sasha, what do you advise people do?
From our perspective, is relevancy, and that's one key mission that we have at Battleface, is making sure that today the products are relevant to today's travelers, right? And it's a very broad term because the world is changing. Things will continue to develop products that are relevant to you as a consumer, and using tech to do that, and also continue to custom build products for your partners and their customers, at least from the travel insurance perspective.
Relevancy, that's a good word. I like that. Spencer, what's your one sort of recommendation if you had to lay it down?
Well, this is very parochial and very self-orientated, but I would say credit cards. My friends in the schemes, Visa and MasterCard, will be delighted to hear it. But if you're building a business, if you're a consumer, if you're playing in a global industry such as travel, with all the volatility we spoke about, the credit card networks were built to serve this business. In fact, they grew out of travel originally. They are global. They have trust built in. They're instant. You can't get, you probably could, but they're as close to instant as you can get. And critically, and we've seen them stress tested over the last 2-3 years, and I've seen it up close and personal, and it's been terrifying at times, they're two-way highways. So they allow for the money to flow towards the merchant, the provider of the service, with absolute reliability and trust, and a mechanism called the chargeback mechanism if things go wrong. But they also allow for the money to flow back just as smoothly back to the consumer if things change for whatever reason. And that global interconnection, so that people who don't know each other can do commerce around the world 24 hours a day in every currency available, is a system I wouldn't try and reinvent. And so my advice, if you're going to play in this space, become fluent in the language of credit cards.
Okay, I'm sure some good advice, and sounds like what you're saying is, if it didn't exist, we'd be inventing it again right away. So that's obviously sometimes a good sign. There's lots of things out there that we rely on that maybe we wouldn't create from scratch if we were starting from zero again. And last but not least, Cindy, what's your take? What one thing do you recommend to travel businesses to implement to try and mitigate against this terrible risk?
Mm-hmm. I think there's several. I would say definitely the one that Sasha mentioned, which is relevance, to have something that's relevant to the market, because it is changing. The world is always changing. So to have something relevant that's relevant to this moment is definitely a part of it. Another one would be quick response, because of the volatility of the market and things changing all the time. I think quick response and being able to incorporate the differences, for example, COVID happening, and including that in our terms and conditions very quickly. I would say that the quick response is the main one that I would suggest.
Okay, then. Thank you. I think those are good suggestions as well. On that, that's the final. Those are the final talking points that we had to go through today. We've got 1 or 2 minutes left. We started a little bit late, but are there any further points that any of you panelists might want to make or raise, or questions that have come up as a result of this?
I just, for those who think this is over, I would suggest that it's not, and coming into the autumn, we will see another wave of volatility. And so for those who arrive late to the party in the travel industry and think this was a problem that's been solved, it hasn't. And for those who wish that we've been through it, I don't think we are. And so we are eyeing the winter period with some suspicion that we'll see some volatility. I mean, Cindy mentioned it, there's later booking, but we're also going to see some cancellations, refunds, chargebacks, and God forbid, we might see some operators that fall into financial instability. So all of that is ahead of us as we come into the Northern Hemisphere's winter period. So it's.
You think that's specifically COVID, the driver of volatility there, or maybe some other factors?
Primarily, it's COVID. Of course, unfortunately, we have the conflict in Ukraine and where that could go. But not really focusing my comments on that. It's more to do with another variant, the winter season, and the impact that will have. I think I may have mentioned this in the past. I think it is a ratchet recovery. And by that, I mean, as in with a handbrake, every time you pull it up, you can't put it down, the same thing. So I think we are learning as a global industry, closing borders doesn't work instantaneously. There are certain ways of trying to defeat this problem that have been proven not to be effective. So I think we are learning those things, but still, we will face the same instability come the winter. And we should all be prepared with all of our businesses in the sort of topics we discussed.
Okay, then, so sort of crossing your fingers approach, maybe that moment is gone. Cindy or Sasha, any last thoughts before we wrap up there?
Cindy, go ahead.
Thank you. I was just going to echo what was already said, basically that the hospitality and travel industry is probably the hardest hit by COVID, and they've gone through a lot of flexible terms and conditions just to be able to sustain their business. So I think this is going to be a recovery period, kind of an adaptation period, and certainly the products that we're all providing will help these businesses do that.
Okay, some good thoughts. Sasha, any last thoughts there, or?
From my perspective, I think just basically develop a relationship with your customer directly and take control of the customer journey from start to finish, so you can continue to stay on top of what actually customers are looking for. And that would be my strongest advice for going forward to eliminate any of the potential risks.
Okay, well, we just had some nice feedback there from somebody called Christine Mayer. She said super insights, interesting not only for demand players but also for hoteliers. So I think that's a thumbs up. Okay, well, I'd like to say thank you very much to all three of you, Cindy, Spencer, and Sasha, for your time and your insights. Very valuable there. I think there's a lot of food for thought, and that people can hopefully go away resting easy, knowing that there are some simple but effective and important steps that they can take to de-risk, maybe even cross-sell or monetize the opportunity a little bit, and just as importantly, to provide value to everyone else in the chain, which is, I suppose, ultimately what it's all about. Once again, I'd encourage everyone at home to share on social media. Oh, I didn't take a picture. We're going to do it. If you don't mind, we're going to do a selfie. Everybody put your best face on. Here we go. That's it. That'll be one in the Townsend family annals. Please, everybody at home, share on social media. Remember, we've got some sessions tomorrow, and Enzo and Mark will explain a little bit more about that. And please, I encourage you all to look up Sasha, Cindy, and Spencer's businesses on their LinkedIn page. Send them a message. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you, and to explain a little bit more about how they can help remove the bookings volatility headache from your life and allow you to get back to doing what you all do best, which is selling and buying travel, providing it, everything, all the other things around it, and not managing the risk aspect, because that's not what you set out to do. Thanks, guys, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, Cindy. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so guys, it's the end of the day. It's the end of the second day. So before we end up, let me quickly remind the audience still there that tomorrow we still have the last episode. The time of the day is going to be booking. We did dreaming, then planning today. Tomorrow is going to be booking. And that's the topic of the 3 different sessions. How is pricing and content quality impacting on conversion ratio? Bed banks versus direct contracting, marketplace model, and payments, how the travel industry is handling one of the online customer merger concern. So make sure you are tuning in tomorrow, and for sure there will be still more to share and keep the audience informed about the latest trends, right? Last word for you, Roman.
Well, thanks everyone. Congratulations on another successful day. Lots of great food for thought there. Anyone tuning in tomorrow, make sure you're there for the first session. That's going to be moderated by me. And be very grateful if everyone could please push, pump, share, comment, like on social media. Drives more engagement and ups the value of all of this for everyone, because we want questions, we want insight, we want people contacting each other off the back of it. It's what it's all about.
Great. Mark, last word from you.
No, just looking forward to tomorrow's session. I mean, I think today we have had a really interesting forum, starting from technology and then moving to how the industry has been adapting to the COVID and post-COVID situation. Okay, and I think it's been really interesting. So see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, guys. Thank you and have a nice evening. Ciao, Roman. Ciao, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.